Rachel Maddow is back in the international zone in Baghdad, and we're going to connect once again between our two remote locations with things a little bit better technically at one than on the other. Rachel, go ahead.
Richard, I'm struck by what Lieutenant DeWitt said about this marking an end of an era for the United States military, about how much the U.S. military has changed over the course of this long conflict. Obviously, we know that that Stryker vehicle that you're in right now is something that had never been used in a combat setting before it was used here in Iraq. But yet, the surge, the war, all of the combat, frankly, did not forge democracy, peace, an Iraqi government here. Or even an end to the insurgency. Things here are bad. It was the political settlement that is allowing U.S. troops to leave in this professional and honorable way in which they are leaving right now. Do you get the sense that the U.S. military has taken away from Operation Iraqi Freedom any sense of humility about whether or not a U.S. military force can create a government?
Yes, I certainly have. And if you hear what a lot of generals are saying right now, including the most senior generals, both here and in Afghanistan, I guess I shouldn't say here anymore because I'm not in Iraq, I'm in Kuwait. So both the American commanders in Iraq and in Afghanistan, is that they are saying from here the Iraqis will have to take it. We can only go so far. The U.S. military can do so much. And I think that is not something you heard from American military commanders even a few years ago. There was a sense that with security, if provided enough military know-how and ingenuity, anything was possible. And I think after this they recognize, well, there are certain things the military can do. They can provide security, they can topple governments, they can move equipment, but can they build a society and a government that is acceptable to people in the Middle East? And I think the realization here is we've created opportunities, and the military will say that we've created space for the Iraqis to create their own kind of democracy. And if you call that humility, then perhaps that's what it is.
Also, Richard, on the issue of just what this war has been like for the average American soldier, whether it be an infantryman or somebody working at other levels of direct combat in Iraq, how have you seen in the time that you've been covering this war, how have you seen essentially the capability of U.S. forces change? Obviously, we've now got hundreds of thousands of U.S. troops who have experience of direct fire, of enduring this heat. I mean, it's 2:30 in the morning here in Baghdad right now, and it's already very hot. How much has the experience of the average American soldier
it is hotter here in Kuwait.
Being in this war for so long? Yeah.
I've seen, and it's hard to joke with such a delay, but I have seen a tremendous change in the capabilities of just the average soldier. Let's say an average soldier. I don't mean that in a disparaging way, but when I first arrived, a lot of the soldiers had never been in combat. They would bunch up. They'd make silly mistakes. They are a much more lethal force now than they were 7.5 years ago. They have been in combat. They've been in firefight. If you meet someone here who's been in 3 or 4 deployments, that first sergeant will be able to look at a patrol and instantly know what is wrong with it, how they are behaving. So they've matured as a force. They've gotten better. And as we were just discussing earlier, I think as a command, they've also become not more realistic, but perhaps less far-reaching in what the military can and cannot do.